Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm Loving It, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on primetime, a man is arrested for the 2019 rape of a young girl in Dededo. Plus, after 2 weeks, the jury finds Rudy Kanata guilty of murder, but fails to come to a unanimous decision on the other charges. And first responders and volunteers search for an 81-year-old woman who went missing Tuesday evening. These stories right now on your news leader. Hafide, good evening, everyone. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. Guahusi Isaiah Uggan, and thank you for joining us. A year after the death of the former Humatag Mayor Daniel Sanchez, Rudy Kanata has been found guilty of his murder. With tonight's top story, here's KUAM's Hannah Devonzo.
Last April, the former Humatag Mayor Daniel Sanchez was found dead inside of Rudy Kanata's home with 23 stab wounds. And after weeks of deliberating in his trial, the jury came back with a guilty verdict for the charge of murder. However, they could not come to a unanimous verdict for the charge of a special allegation of possession or use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony or aggravated assault. Kanata's lawyer, Peter Santos, believes there could be grounds for an appeal.
At first, they were 9-3 not guilty, but then they swung the other way, I do, just from my initial thoughts, because they were mistrialed or hung on the special allegation, I do believe that could be a basis for appeal.
While Happy Kanata was convicted of the most serious charge, prosecuting attorney Leonardo Rapadas may go back and pursue the other charges.
He was convicted of the most serious charge, so I'm not disappointed in that respect. But again, we still have to go back. I still have to go back and talk with my bosses regarding whether or not we're going to go forward with that second charge. It is a separate second charge. So it's something that I'm going to have to talk about. And as soon as we make a decision, we're going to let counsel know.
Attorney Santos said Kanata understands and always knew that it was possible that he would be found guilty based on the biases that are against him. As for his innocence, he still claims he wasn't involved in the murder.
Kanata never admitted, he never confessed to anything. He does claim that he was not involved. I've never asked him whether he did it or not. I just have to look at the government's evidence and defend against the government's evidence and argue that they did not meet their burden. So, to answer the question, does Kanata still claim his innocence? Yes.
As for Daniel Sanchez's family, who attended the whole trial, attorney Rapadas said they're grateful for the work their team did and can now find closure and celebrate Sanchez's life. Hannah Devonzo for KUAM News.
As KUAM News reported in February, joiner Scott Sked, the other actor in the case, was found guilty. And after almost 3 years, a man is behind bars for raping a 13-year-old girl in Dededo after a DNA test identified him. A lengthy investigation related to a rape that occurred in November of 2019 has led to the arrest of 39-year-old Jesse James, who was picked up by officers with the Guam Police Department on Wednesday. James was charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct, second-degree criminal sexual conduct, kidnapping, strangulation, terrorizing, felonious restraint, assault with intent to commit criminal sexual conduct, and aggravated assault as a third-degree felony. As KUAM News reported, it was on November 18th, 2019 that a 13-year-old girl was on her way home from the Papa store in Dededo when she was grabbed from behind and pulled into the jungle. According to court documents, she attempted to scream, but James covered her mouth with his hand. She said he threatened to kill her and put his hands around her throat to where she struggled to breathe. The victim then noted to officers that he removed her pants and raped her. She also told officers that she was able to get away after kicking his torso and scratching his face. The victim was able to provide a description of the man to police. Court documents state that with the assistance of the victim, officers went to the area of the jungle where the rape took place. Court documents did not state why it took so long to make an arrest. We should note that Police Chief Stephen Ignacio has called a press conference for tomorrow regarding the arrest of James and the case. The family of an 81-year-old woman with dementia is praying for a safe return after she went missing on Tuesday. Here's what we know so far.
It's been 2 days since loved ones of 81-year-old Carmen Taikenko Asanoma of Malesu were in contact with her. She has dementia. Officer Berlin Sevilla is a spokesperson for the Guam Police Department.
Her family member identified on the 12th of April 2022 was the last time that they had knowledge or had come in contact with her. Last seen at 5:30 in the evening time at their residence.
A few hours later that same evening, GPD was contacted and a missing person report was initiated.
They noticed that a couple hours later, Mrs. Asanoma was nowhere to be located in her residence or around within her residence.
First thing this morning, the search began in collaboration with the Guam Fire Department Search and Rescue Division, recruits from GFD's 22nd Fire Cycle, Malesu Mayor's Office, GPD Special Operations Division, and community volunteers, as well as family members. Sevilla noted that Asanoma is known to walk within the neighborhood.
Her family members did identify that she normally does walk within the residential area, last seen wearing a black women's blouse with a floral print, black shorts. She stands approximately at 5'4" in height, 100 pounds estimated within that area.
Drones from Aviation Concepts are being used in the air to survey the Atseng Bay area. Meanwhile, GPD says foul play doesn't seem to be a factor as a result of Asanoma's disappearance.
Not at this time. We are just focusing on locating Mrs. Asanoma.
According to Malesu Mayor Ernest Chargaloff, she was last seen walking Tuesday evening towards Inalahan. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Asanoma, contact GPD Dispatch at 671-475-8615-7.
Once again, if you have any information about the whereabouts of Asanoma, you are encouraged to contact GPD Dispatch at 671-475-8615-7. The continuous debate over whether to terminate the current public health emergency took center stage during legislative session today. Here's a recap with KUAM's Nestor Lecanto.
Minority Leader Chris Duenas has been pushing hard for administration officials to defend why the public health emergency that Governor Leon Guerrero has kept in place for more than 2 years now should continue. Public Health Human Services Administrator Tess Archangel says one reason is the loss of supplemental SNAP funding, which just got a 90-day extension.
It will cost Guam roughly $7 million if we end the PHE.
But Duenas countered that Hawaii's governor issued a narrow emergency declaration that allows for allotments in his state to continue. Duenas also pushed Civil Defense Director David Cruz for his justification.
So I'm asking you, Mr. Cruz, do you have a document, a black and white, as we call it in the government, that states that you will lose $16 million if the state is not in a state of public health emergency?
I will have to get back to you. I think I would have to consult with FEMA and our legal folks in order to answer that question.
Madam Speaker, I just want to put this on the record during this round. I think it will be impossible to move forward, but I will continue without that information. That is critical information, Madam Speaker.
Then there was Public Health Incident Commander Fernando Esteves, who said while ending the emergency won't have a direct effect on funding, it will have one operationally.
So if the public health emergency were to end abruptly, regardless of whether funding was available by the federal government or not, the governor's activation and her authority as the commander-in-chief, my understanding, ends immediately. And so that's a very big concern operationally.
Meanwhile, Republican Senator Joanne Brown said at some point the federal largesse will come to an end. So what's the exit plan, she asked, because they've not seen or heard of one.
I hear from your perspective why you want to hold on to it. But overall, in terms of our community and in order to recover and move forward, because we do have an economy to rebuild here. Uncle Sam is generous as he's been. I doubt we'll continue to just fund and fund and fund and fund because we want to extend the process of receiving the money.
To which Public Health Director Art San Augustine said it won't be so much an exit plan, but a pivot.
We have scaled back the quarantine situation at the processing at the airport. Air travelers now, there is no quarantine. We've scaled back on and closed out the quarantine site. So there's a transition. And we hope this transition and the road we're going down, this path we're going through, continues. I don't know that we'll ever exit from this virus or any other public health emerging infectious diseases that we may encounter.
For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Senators completed questioning of administration officials late this afternoon, but continued their deliberations. There's no indication yet when they plan to vote on the resolution to terminate the public health emergency. And $3 million in retroactive hazardous pay is what the Department of Administration will be paying out to several customs officers. It was during a Wednesday roundtable meeting with Senator Talina Nelson, who chairs the Committee on Border Protection and Maritime and other lawmakers, that Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency Director Ike Pareto happily confirmed that officers will be finally seeing their retroactive hazardous pay start to be paid out by Friday, April 22nd. Pareto praised the team he put together to review the 5 years worth of the timesheets.
We've been collaborating with DOA to make sure that we are doing what it takes to ensure that we provide accurate information. So timesheets recording and appropriate dates and times for payment of hazardous pay according to Public Law 3654 were received by DOA. We submitted that on February 22nd, our final review.
According to CQA liaison Pilar Carbolito, the payments will be made in lump sums per year owed. As for where the funds will come from, the FY22 budget law appropriated $3 million to the agency, specifically for the payout of retroactive hazard duty pay. Pareto adds that hazardous pay will continue as per the current budget law. And over in the CNMI, the Senate impeachment trial of Governor Ralph Torres could finally begin next week. As KUAM regional correspondent Tomas McDonald reports, it comes months after he was impeached by the House and months before the November general election.
But we will provide that platform in terms of having the hearing and having the official, the representative, the impeached official be present during those dates as soon as we release it today.
That was Senate President Jude Hofschneider a week ago. Monday night, he sent a memo to all 9 NMI senators signaling that the impeachment trial of Governor Ralph Torres could start as early as next week. In his April 13 letter, Hofschneider tells senators your physical presence in the CNMI is required from Monday, April 18 through Friday, April 29 for official participation in the upcoming legislative proceedings of the Senate. The exact details, including date, time, and who will be appearing, have yet to be released as of news time. Governor Torres was impeached on January 12 by a vote of 14 yes, 4 no, and 1 abstention in the House. The 6 articles of impeachment cover misconduct in public office, theft, and contempt. The Senate trial has struggled to get off the ground after a heated debate over its rules and the lack of a House prosecutor and even a House impeachment record in the upcoming hearings. There are now parallel legal battles as the governor's legal team wages war in the Superior Court, challenging the legislative subpoena he was held in contempt for violating, in addition to responding to the Attorney General's criminal charges that reflect the articles of impeachment. The Senate is also expected to entertain a motion to dismiss the articles first, which could essentially end the trial before it begins. In a final decision, 6 of the 9 senators would need to vote to convict the governor and remove him from office. Torres is the 2nd governor in NMI history to be impeached, but the first to undergo a trial in the Senate. Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News.
Just before news time, the Senate scheduled the hearing on the motion to dismiss the articles of impeachment for Tuesday, April 19th at 10 a.m. in the Senate chamber. Senate President Hofschneider wrote in a memo that Representative Karina Magofnia failed to file an appearance, so the House impeachment prosecutor would not be allowed to participate in the hearing. The announcement states that oral testimony on the motion to dismiss will be allowed for up to 5 minutes for each public comment. Still to come on Your News Leader, our Tyler Matson was at the pro-life prayer service this morning, and still to come details to the Guam Able Savings Program. These stories and more coming up next on Your News Leader.
Let us know what's up on our KUAM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the CNMI, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
If you really want to find out what you're made of, you can forget the personality tests and social media quizzes, because the only way you're ever going to know is by heading into the big, wild, raging, so damn beautiful it hurts world and finding out for yourself. Were you born to follow a path, or were you born free? These are the things we thought about when we made the new Grand Cherokee. Made for what you're made of.
Half a day. Gas prices continue to rise, and we are here to help. We have revised Program Salapi to provide a $300 direct cash assistance payment to most households. We've expanded income eligibility so more families will benefit.
We've heard your struggles, and we hope this relief will help during these difficult times. The Department of Administration will begin accepting applications on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. For more information, visit doa.guam.gov.
This ad is paid for by the Office of the Governor using government funds.
Let us know what's up on our KUAM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the CNMI, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Welcome back to Primetime. Senator Talina Nelson's heartbeat bill has sparked much debate within Guam's community between those that are pro-life and pro-choice. The Democratic senator has received a major backlash since the introduction of her bill, but several community members showed their support as they gathered in solidarity and prayers in protecting the unborn. KUAM's Hala Matson reports.
The Archdiocese of Hagåtña held a pro-life prayer service at the Hagåtña Cathedral Basilica on Thursday. Archbishop Michael Burns gave a message on the sacredness of life at all stages, saying that abortion is the most important human right effort of our time and age.
Unborn children have no voice. They have no means to speak or cry out against those who threaten their lives. Unborn children have no way of defending themselves.
He noted that more than 62 million unborn children have been killed since the inception of Roe v. Wade in 1973, and that it's not only the duty of Catholics and Christians to protect the lives of the unborn, but of humanity. The Archdiocese also announced their official support of Senator Talina Nelson's Guam Heartbeat Act of 2022, calling it a tremendous cause for prayer and hope.
A person is no less of a human being because they are not visible in the same way that the rest of us are.
The Guam Catholic Pro-Life Committee was also in attendance at the service. Co-chairperson Sharon O'Malley shared her testimony on how she transformed from pro-choice to pro-life.
These were actually the first time I actually saw aborted baby pictures. And I looked and I looked. I saw the little feet, the legs, the arms, the bodies, and the heads, all separated from each other, but placed together. He was a boy. Everything was there. He was a baby, just in pieces, just in pieces. And then she showed me another picture of a baby that had been burned in a solution and aborted. When I know the true reality of what goes on in abortion, you can't continue being a pro-choice person. you must understand and respect that this is a whole other human being. I didn't think it was my right to be or tell someone else what they're supposed to do with their baby. I didn't deeply think about it. And I think a lot of people are like that. So pro-choice people have to understand, I've been with you and I understand where you're coming from.
Burns recognized that the subject of abortion is often a heated and emotional debate, and that everyone has their own experiences, circumstances, and wounds that have shaped their stance on the issue. Regardless of opposing views, he says it's paramount that we continue to respect all. For KUAM News, I'm Tyler Matson.
If you're planning on traveling anytime soon, take note that at the request of the CDC, the TSA is extending the mask mandate on planes, trains, and buses for an additional 15 days. The mandate was set to expire on April 18th, but it's now extended to May 3rd, cited as the reason is the recent rise in cases of the BA.2 subvariant. Meanwhile, here at home, if Guam continues to maintain a low level of risk, effective 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday, April 19th, the outdoor mask mandate will be lifted. Masks will still have to be worn indoors. It's been one of the most effective treatments against the island's battle with COVID-19, and after months of being utilized, the monoclonal antibody therapy clinic in the Manilao Senior Center is closing today in anticipation for the reopening of all the other senior centers next month. Although the MAB clinic is closing, COVID-19 incident commander Fernando Estevez says it's a service public health looks to continue, but the biggest hurdle is finding a new location for it.
We're still forging those plans. I mean, the difficulty we're running into is finding a space that's conducive for that, right? Because we got to remember these are COVID positive patients. So ideally, we want something, I wouldn't say off the beaten path, but definitely that has its own, doesn't have shared ventilation, or if it does, that we mitigate that and isolate that area, that there's also controlled access as well, and that it's conveniently placed. And
since its inception, the MAB clinic has administered over 1,000 doses to residents who needed that treatment. Estevez added other sites are being looked into to house a new clinic, and public health looks to stand one up as soon as possible. In the meantime, the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority continues to administer the therapy to residents who need it. The Guam Able Savings Program is now law, and according to author Senator James Moylan, the program is an income-derived savings plan for those with disabilities, which have taxable benefits and mirrors programs available in many states.
What the Able Act, the Able Savings Act does is create a tax-exempt fund, savings account, to allow friends and families to contribute so that individual with a disability can use that for assistance, not get penalized by removing or reducing any of the benefits that they've currently received, and is able to have a better quality of life for their housing, for their transportation, for the medication, for their daily activity.
The law also provides the governor the transfer authority of up to $250,000 to ensure that any resources needed for the program to achieve its implementation are available. The program should be ready for implementation by October 1st. During this month's Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention meeting, the Guam Homeless Coalition announced they'll be having their upcoming Passport to Services event next week, Friday, April 22nd. President of the Guam Homeless Coalition, Samantha Taitano.
During the Passport to Services, we'll have all kinds of providers providing information about housing, health screening, COVID immunizations are there as well, information from the different providers about their services. Also, there's going to be free haircuts and manicures. So we're just really looking forward to it.
The event will be taking place at the Ipao Beach Amphitheater from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Transportation will also be available. If you're coming from the Hagåtña Pool, pickup is at 8 a.m. For those in Tamuning, pickup is at 8:30 a.m. at the Tamuning Mayor's Office. And for those in Dededo, 9 a.m. is the pickup time from the Dededo Mayor's Office. Stay tuned. Up next are Dave Delgado with the latest on local sports. And still to come, we continue our weekly series recognizing Autism Awareness Month. Keep it here to KUAM News.
Hey, Mars, good evening, man.
Good morning.
We like to say we're in the business of opening doors. Since first opening our doors in 1972, our love for our community has driven our legacy of service. We've seen paths to bigger and brighter futures.
So, what are we saving for? School?
We've seen the heart of our people.
You ready for this? Yeah.
We've seen our communities come together to help one another. We've seen passion become successful business plans. We've seen generations of families grow with us.
Wow, that was easy. Wow.
And when we think of all the doors we helped to open, we can't help but be reminded of the reason we're still here today. Our people.
I'm in class waiting for mealtime to grab me. Dreaming about making my taste buds happy. Soon as the class bell rings, I'm making a rush to McDonald's to munch something.
Pep up your meal with McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets. You'll love the heat of the spicy tempura coating with a blend of cayenne pepper and chili. For a limited time at McDonald's, I'm loving it.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The island's jiu-jitsu community came together to show their support for Guam strongman Joe Gagat Pangilinan, who's battling cancer. BJJ black belt champion Bryant Pangilinan held a seminar last night as part of fundraising efforts at the International Sports Center.
My uncle and my dad have touched so many lives, and it just goes to show how much people we have connections with, and I'm just so glad to see everybody here to come out and support us, like in this hard times right now. But really appreciate everybody coming out and showing their support. I love this sport. It's been doing it for years, and I'm just so glad that everybody is around. They're basically my family, so thank you so much, and really appreciate everything.
Honestly, when it comes to this sport, it's a lot about family orientation and just understanding that it's not always about competition, it's not always about competing against each other, it's about coming together and being family. I mean, that's how we've all been taught in the gym, inside the gym, outside the gym, and it's really great to see everybody out here.
It's very overwhelming to see this much support for my dad. He's touched so many people in and out of the gym. It didn't matter who you are, what color, race, religion you are. You were always family to him, to us, and our family can't be any more thankful and blessed to have such a support system from the community. And we want to thank everybody from the bottom of our hearts, and it just really means so much. I know it's a difficult time for us as a family, but with this amount of love shown from the community and from every gym, every person, it's very overwhelming, and I couldn't be any more blessed and happy to have such support coming from everybody here. And thank you to KUAM, thank you to everybody here, thank you to the families for the support for my dad. It's a blessing in disguise, and we couldn't be any more happier.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Unified Communications, UC, is the next step in a business phone system. Introducing Docomo Pacific UC, your business phone. Instant messaging, video, voicemail, fax, and more. All unified on one platform and delivered through the cloud. Merge your desk phone with your mobile device. Turn voice calls into video conference. UC reduces phone costs. UC boosts productivity. Work better together with Docomo Pacific UC.
My sourdough patty melt has 100% beef, 2 melty cheeses, and grilled onions, all between 2 slices of my famous toasted sourdough bread. It's pretty much the greatest thing since itself. My sourdough patty melt combos. Order on the Jack app today.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Welcome back to your news leader. April is Autism Awareness Month, and KUAM's Jonah Goncharfers continues with her weekly series, Putting the Pieces Together. Tonight she sits down and chats with Doris and Gary Cruz of Saipan and their amazing son, G-Boy.
Putting the Pieces Together is brought to you locally by Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Doris and Gary Cruz says their son, 3-year-old Gary II, also known as G-Boy, was diagnosed with level 3 severe autism in May of last year. But it was when G-Boy was around 6 to 8 months that they started to notice a delay in certain milestones.
We noticed because he also has, cousins that are around the same age as him. They're only like months apart. And
they were hitting their milestones, but not G-Boy.
It was Gary's sister, who works with children with autism on the mainland, that encouraged them to get him assessed.
It gave us an advantage because we were able to seek that early intervention for him. Had it not been for her, we wouldn't have caught it. We wouldn't have brought it up to our pediatrician. It was then that we realized that he is falling behind.
The Cruzes, who reside in Saipan, describe G-Boy's sensitivity to sounds and food textures.
He hears things at a different level, right? A different pitch level. Like, for us, it doesn't bother us, but for him, it's like nails being scratched on a chalkboard.
So like sounds, like surprising sounds, like the fireworks.
So we say FW.
So we usually say FW because as soon as we say that word, he's gonna start.
It's gonna trigger him.
Triggering him to melt.
Yeah, he's gonna fall into a meltdown. Just
fries is his favorite.
He loves French fries.
I mean, if he can eat that every day, he'll eat that every day. Bread.
Yeah, bread.
He loves
soup.
bread.
He loves soup and rice.
But his favorite food is actually miso soup with rice.
And even though G-Boy may be slightly behind with his speech, he has advanced in other things, such as counting and singing the alphabet in Russian and Spanish. They even add that G-Boy loves Thomas the Train and Friends.
He can identify all their faces. He knows all the faces of the trains, so you can change the train color or change the style of the train, and he knows that that's Thomas.
And for these parents, autism is still new to them, and they admit they're still figuring things out. But
it's really a blessing. I think everybody that has a child with autism is actually blessed from God.
I mean, and they make you see life in a whole different
way.
Yeah, like our son, we are truly blessed to have him. I believe that we needed him.
Yeah, it's very humbling.
When asked if Saipan is lacking when it comes to resources,
I believe there are a lot of services out here. I think the only issue will be the awareness and education of those services available.
If there's anything they would like to get out to the community, it's for all to embrace and show kindness to kids with autism.
This is not a disability. Like, they have special abilities. Like, who knows?
One day he'll
be a scientist. Yeah. Like, children on the spectrum are gifted in different ways, right? So we embrace that. We look forward to the man who will be.
Reporting for KUAM News, I'm Jonah Goncharfers. Putting the Pieces Together is brought to you locally by Bank of Guam, the People's Bank.
Such a touching story. Good job, Joan. April is also Earth Month, and in our Green Meter series, we take a look at trash to treasure art.
KUAM News Green Leader Profiles is presented in partnership with UOG Center for Island Sustainability, Guam Green Growth, and UOG Sea Grant. Since she was very young, Maria Dunn had always had the desire to create stuff, make stuff, bake, just really anything with her hands.
Inspiration comes from different areas and for different reasons, but mostly it's driven by this, I just have like this innate need to create. Like I have a creative energy and it needs to get out. Just something really small creative project. It really does help to relieve that creative energy, that desire to make something.
Dunn, who is currently the upper grade principal for Island Academy Charter School, was asked by the Micronesian Climate Change Alliance to serve as one of the art mentors for a trash art exhibit called The Second Life Project, Telling Tales with Trash, which was made possible by a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts and KUAM.
I've worked with fiber art as well, and they were reaching out for consultants to kind of guide teachers if they needed the guidance as they brought their students on the journey of making art out of trash. Essentially, the core of it was to really educate the youth on the issue that is the amount of trash that we are seeing on KUAM, how much trash we create as an island, how we're dealing with the trash situation, illegal dumping.
Along with the over 400 students that took part in using upcycled trash to create pieces that depicted island legends and native flora and fauna, Dunn also joined in on the creative fun with her piece, a babeg I puti tainobu, that she made with trash.
Basically stuff I had around the house, and I had a lot of egg cartons and plastic bags and wire and styrofoam.
And with it being Earth Month, what message does she have for the community?
We just need to do better. I feel it's really difficult and it's daunting. And I know things, it's like some people wonder, especially those who really do want to make a difference, they feel kind of discouraged because they're like, what can I do, or what is one person going to do? I'm going to stop, using plastic bags, but the rest of the world is going to continue, and they feel like their contribution is so small, but it really isn't. Don't feel like what you're doing is too small, because as long, as long as you're doing something, it still helps. It's just that fraction that's not being added to this giant mess.
Reporting for KUAM News, I'm Jonah Gonçalves. KUAM News Green Leader Profiles is presented in partnership with UOG Center for Island Sustainability, KUAM Green Growth, and UOG Sea Grants.
You can view the art exhibit from now till May 1st at Suite 220 at the Guam Premier Outlets. You won't be disappointed. And we wrap up the show with your birthday shoutouts. Here's KUAM's Jason Solis.
On this Thursday, April the 14th, happy birthday to Alicia Adelby and to our mom, grandmother, and best friend. Aw, we love you and have a wonderful day and many more. That's a great shout out, you guys. Great job. Happy birthday, Miss Alicia. Frankie Lynn Rosario, happy birthday to you from Dad and Sister Anna and the family. Frankie Lynn, we hope you have a wonderful day as well. And Lila Ong, happy birthday to an incredible woman from your girls at the Better Brunch Bureau. The BBB, I like that, Better Brunch. So hey, we hope all of you who had a birthday today have a fantastic brunch and lunch and dinner and especially dessert. Go for birthday cake because you've earned it today. You deserve it because you are awesome and it is your birthday.
You can be a part of our Coat Zone Creamery Birthday Club by checking out KUAM.com. And that's going to do it for us here on KUAM News Primetime this Thursday evening. Guahu si Isaiah.